so I don't forget.
I think it already started.
I think we have just about everybody now.
Hey, Jim.
Sorry, I'm late, everybody. You know how hard it is to find virtual parking this time of day in Charlottesville?
I thought I saw you outside parking.
How is everyone?
Good.
Good.
Jim, how are you?
I am wonderful. I am super excited to hear about all the wonderful things we're going to learn today.
Jim, I think the last time I saw you, I was on my horse.
You were on your high horse. Yes, you were.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Tom has a very friendly, lovely horse.
Thank you.
And then your wife has a uh, former racing thoroughbred, right?
Correct. Churchill Downs Stakes race winner.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Now, I do have to warn you, the last time I was close with somebody that always rode in that hunt club, they like spirited horses, and it didn't end up being the end of them.
Yeah, I'm more of the laid back, slow riding draft large horse type, and not the exciting racehorse type. I'd like to survive my ride.
Did you guys
Uh,
catch a fox?
I don't think we saw one that day. Usually that meet is not very long because everybody wants to get back and do Thanksgiving. So
Yeah. Plus, it's kind of hard to have that success in a hunt when the pastor prays for fleetness of foot for the fox.
well said. Uh, I guess I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Looks like everybody is back at their seat, and we have some electric meeting notice things we need to go over before we do roll call and introductions.
Hold on, let me just admit Jason real fast. Okay. This meeting of the Rural Transportation Advisory Committee is being held pursuant to the Code of Virginia, subsection C of section 2.2-3708.3, which allows a public body to hold all virtual public meetings. The meeting is being held via electronic video and audio means through Zoom online meetings and is accessible to the public. The method for holding this meeting shall not change unless a new meeting notice is provided. Should the electronic transmission fail, you may reach out to TJPDC at spennington@tjpdc.org. Notice has been provided to the public through notice at the TJPDC offices, to the media, website posting, and agenda. The meeting is held in pursuant to the remote electronic participation in all virtual meeting policy as adopted by the TJPD Commission in August. The meeting minutes will reflect that the meeting was held by electronic communication means and the type of electronic communication means for the meeting.
Thank you. Well
What?
said.
Can you read that one more time? It wasn't very clear.
Jim's still trying to find parking. Uh, uh, since we have a lot of people that I can't see, I'm having to toggle back and forth. If we could do everybody could do quick introductions, that'd be great. I'm Tom Eglin. I'm with Louisa County.
Gretchen, did you want to do a roll call? Would that make it easier? Or we can just go through. I'm Dylan Bishop. I'm in Nelson County. I've also got my planner, Cody Barker, on. I wanted to introduce to everyone as well. He's been here a while. He's been doing a great job and really glad to have him here with me. So,
Hmm. I'm Jim Friedel from Greene County, and I know Cody Barker. How you doing, Cody? You landed in Nelson, obviously.
Landed on my own 2 feet.
Are you going to sing for us?
Not yet. I think that's later in the agenda.
Let him get his feet wet a little bit first.
Yeah.
Hi, Cody. Good to see you again. I'm Albert Greene from Albemarle Planning. So I saw you a few months ago here, and now it's good to see you there.
How about Todd? Do you want
Yeah,
to introduce yourself, Todd?
yeah, Todd Fortune, Fluvanna County. I'm Director of Planning here. I think I know most everybody here. Nice to meet you, Cody.
Taylor?
Taylor Jenkins, TJPDC.
Alberic?
Albert Greene Albemarle County Planning.
Okay, obviously Cody's here. Do you want to introduce yourself or say anything about yourself, Cody?
I'm Cody Barker. I'm a planner in Nelson County.
Congratulations on that. Sandy?
Hi, Sandy Shackelford. I'm a senior transportation planner with the VDOT Culpeper District, which covers everybody except for Nelson County. So, Cody, happy to meet you and probably won't work with you as much as the Lynchburg District will.
Jason?
Jason Espy with JAUNT.
Christine?
Christine Jacobs, Executive Director of TJPDC.
Carson?
Carson Eckhart, I'm the district planner for Lynchburg District. Cody, you'll be working with me pretty in depth, especially as smart scales coming up. So it's nice to have a planner in Nelson County.
Goyan?
Sorry, my video and audio wouldn't turn on. My name is Goran Georgievsky, a regional planner in the TJPDC in transportation. Thank you.
And I'm Gretchen Thomas. I'm the admin assistant for TJPDC. And back to Tom and Sarah, I guess.
Thank you, Gretchen, for helping with the roll call.
Just one quick reminder as well, for this to be an official meeting, all voting members do have to have their cameras on. So just an FYI, that is a little bit different than some other meetings, but for this to be official and on the record, all voting members do have to have their camera on and audio on for anything that requires a vote.
All right. I don't think we have anybody from the public, it appeared, through the introduction. So I guess we could jump into the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Does anybody have any edits that they need to make? Well, in that case, I motion to approve the minutes as written. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? I don't think so. All right, motion carries. We have minutes. We're flying. We're ahead. We're a minute behind schedule. Okay, that's okay. Work plan FY27. It's that time again.
That it is. Despite all of our efforts and how time is flying, it is already time to present the work plan and think about next year. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. This is just a quick overview for those of you who have been on this committee for a while. This is something we do every year at the February meeting. We present it to you, and then, of course, the governing body for this advisory committee is the TJPDC Commission, and they will approve it, and then this will be submitted to VDOT. And usually the deadline for that is the end of April. So based on our meeting schedule, this would be the time for you folks to be able to take a look at this, give us your feedback. A copy of the draft was included in your packet, so hopefully you've had a chance to look over that and to come up with any potential feedback that you may have. But then just as a reminder, or for anyone that's new, this work plan is for planning assistance for non-urbanized areas here in the Commonwealth. The funding is allocated through VDOT, partially or mostly through a federal source and then partially through a local source. It is a requirement as a PDC administering this program, to do the work plan and have it go through the process of approvals. Our annual budget this year is $72,500, which is the same that it's been for the last few years, so no changes there. And then, of course, the funding will be used in this fiscal year, and the funding does not roll over. So we're looking at and talking about the funding to be used in FY27. So just a quick highlight. We're obviously still just partway through FY26, but some highlights for this year of what we've done through the Rural Work Program is the completion of the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. That plan was submitted and completed at the end of September. Went through the process of being adopted by all of the localities. Has had some great work that's come out of that, and even some discussions with many of you on possible implementation projects. Of course, we will be continuing smart scale application support. That ball hasn't completely got off the ground and rolling, but we know that that's happening in the next few weeks, and will continue through the rest of the fiscal year and into FY27 for application submission. And then one of the big projects that we took on this year was the Rural Transportation Planning Needs Assessment. With me being a newer staff member to this particular program, having some newer members on the committee, we felt like it was a really good time just to kind of do a deep dive into what planning and plans have already been completed and what needs our individual localities have, and how, as the PDC, we might be able to assist with that. So, FY27 program tasks, we have identified through some of our work with the Planning Needs Assessment that it is indeed time to update the Rural Long Range Plan. So the last one was done in 2018, 2019 for the date of the Long Range Plan being 2040. So in keeping with that thought process and looking at when the next long range transportation plan is going on, we felt like this is the right time to develop the scope and to begin this plan. This is going to be, a lot of an update of the existing plan, a lot of data collection. That's kind of what we're looking for or looking into. We will be developing a scope and be looking for feedback from this particular group on this plan. It may go into FY28, and we will definitely probably in FY28 be making the rounds for the adoption for the localities and so forth. But we are hoping to possibly have the majority of the plan completed, at least in draft form, during next fiscal year. As I mentioned before, the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, there certainly is a lot of good information that came out of that work. And so we want to make sure that we are continuing to have discussions and to look at opportunities for projects from that plan. One of kind of our main placeholders of activities that we always work on here at the PDC is regional transit, the travel demand management program, and bike and pedestrian activities. So that work will continue. Like I said before, we will have smart scale applications, which will actually be submitted in FY27. So we will be continuing that work in that first part of the year. And then, always thinking about the next round, the next stage. It's kind of, even though not every year is an application year, we're kind of always thinking and working on smart scale in some way, as many of you are. We will continue, of course, to provide assistance to our local and state partners. So that is an opportunity for the localities and for the staff there to request any assistance, technical, grant support, lots of mapping, all kinds of opportunities there. And then, of course, looking at any other transportation infrastructure grant assistance as well. Again, that is something that we always have in there and are always kind of available and on call for the localities. Again, the budget hasn't really changed much. The numbers are basically the same. We will still be allocating about $18,000 of that budget for the admin tasks, which include reporting, invoicing, staffing, and running this committee, as well as information sharing. And that can be through all the different channels, our e-news, through emails, all of that. And then the program activities that I just mentioned on the last slide, we kind of break these out for mostly our own kind of record keeping and tracking, but essentially the general dollar amounts stay the same as we look at both short range and long range. So the presentation itself is nice and short and sweet, but I'm happy to go over any parts of the draft of the work program that were sent. This is a time, again, like I said, where we really want some feedback from you guys if there's things that you think are missing or, things that you would like to add, questions, comments, concerns.
Anybody have any at
Excitement
this
about
time,
having
or
a new long-range plan.
Well, having worked over 2 years at a PDC, I mean, nothing here jumps out at me as a cause for concern. This looks pretty straightforward. No, I'm all for the updating a long range plan.
Wonderful. Thank you. And yeah, we try to keep it as simple and as straightforward as one can. That way there's, fewer questions and concerns throughout. It's a great roadmap for us as well.
can we email you all if we have any comments between now and April, or other people have comments?
Absolutely. Yes. So, and just as a heads up, there will be the draft of this presented to our commission at their March meeting, which is about a month from now. I believe it's March 5th. That's when they will see a draft and then they will vote on it in early April. So you do have a little bit of time. We would love to, if you have comments, suggestions, we would really love to get those into the draft before we present them to the commission in March. But again, that's, that is a month away. So you do have, a few weeks to do that. But the more we can get in there in that draft for them to look at ahead of time, the better.
And I do also want to note, so it is a voting item on the agenda for today to provide a recommendation for the commission to be able to approve it. And so it would go before them in March as informational, then they would vote on it in April. And so ideally you all would, be able to provide that recommendation today. Should you not feel comfortable, we could always schedule a special meeting of RTAC, but I just want to acknowledge that between now and your next Sorry, I might have frozen.
You
Did y'all
did.
catch all of that?
Yeah,
Froze
you
up. You're
did.
back.
You froze.
Thanks. I was just pointing out the timeline of your meetings. Since we transitioned to quarterly, your next meeting isn't until May. And so we would not be able to bring you back another draft to be able to
Well,
respond to.
it sounds like we'll have to make a recommendation on this today then. So do you need us to vote? Do we recommend approval of the planning work program? Is this just like a regular vote, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Does everybody want to vote on that now or come back to it later in the meeting?
I'm fine
I'll
with it now.
approve it. I'm fine on voting on it now.
Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the FY27 Rural Transportation Work Plan to the PDC.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Taylor, for reminding us. Because of the quarterly, yeah, normally we have it in the next meeting, so. All right. Anybody want to talk about a little bit more before we move on, or anything else? In that case, it is also that time of year to discuss Smart Scale. Carson, Sandy, you are up.
Carson, your name's first, if you want to
All right.
start.
That's fine. That's fine with me. So I want to thank you all for your time. We only oversee Nelson County as a part of Lynchburg District. So for this upcoming round of Smart Scale, we have two potential three applications. We have two RCIs across 29, one at Tybrook Highway and the other one on Colleen Road in Arrington. There's been some internal discussion at VDOT if we keep those applications together or if we split them. Both intersections have high numbers of fatalities, so we think they'll score well from a high priority standpoint. And we're hoping to get some two very high scoring applications as part of that. We also have the 151 and Rockfish School Lane turn lane improvement. That was a project we resubmitted from last round, but due to having no safety need there, project got kicked out. We battled OIPI on that for a good long while, but we eventually relinquished. And coming this round in 2024, there was an accident there that had 3 injuries, and that makes it a custom safety need applicable intersection. So we decided we want to throw it against the wall. It's a low-cost project, and we're hoping it'll score well. And I'm hoping to see 3 out of 3 funded projects this round for Nelson County. That would be a good win for this area. And that's it. That's it for us.
Thank you.
Culpeper District, we have reduced the number of applications, that we are submitting within this region. So we are currently working to support 2 applications in Greene, the RCUT systems or RCIs. Same thing, different marketing strategies depending on what acronym you want to use for those. Those are the ones that are on 33. And then the ones that are on 29, this will be a resubmission from previous rounds. We're hoping that they'll score better now that there's a little bit more of an emphasis on safety within the TJPDC area. And then there are 4 applications in Albemarle County. Those are all within the MPO area. That includes 3 roundabouts, 2 on Ivy Road, or US 250, kind of near the UVA area, and then 1 on a little bit further west on 250 near Crozet at Old Trail. There's 1 resubmission, and then there's also that one's a resubmission, and there's also going to be a right turn lane on Barracks Road. That is a revision from a previous application. So we're working to get all the information together. Just a couple things I want to mention. Carson, you might have to help me out with the dates. There is a Smart Scale webinar coming up at the end of February 25th. Do you have that date off the top of your head, Carson, by chance?
That's for the external meeting. I don't think they sent an invite out, but I do remember them saying the end of February, sorry.
I think it's scheduled. There wasn't an invitation, but I think it was scheduled.
February 24th. I can drop 24th. The link to the Smart Scale website in the chat.
So if you're submitting an application, make sure that you attend that pre-application training, and then the pre-application window will open on March 1st, and the pre-applications need to be submitted by April 1st. I think that's it on Smart Scale updates. I also want to emphasize that we're really focusing on the VTrans priority 1 and 2 needs. The VTrans needs were updated for 2025, but they are not prioritized. So we're still using the 2023 prioritized needs to help us determine which projects will have the highest scoring potential for Smart Scale applications. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And then I guess we'll talk more about Smart Scale, a type area change. I saw some emails, traffic about that in the last several weeks. So what else do we need to know?
Not really much other than it was on the December CTB agenda and it was approved. So since that has been an ongoing topic of discussion, we just wanted to make sure that everyone on the committee knew about that.
Thank you.
And it happened in time that it will count for this round, so. And the next update, I don't know if Taylor or Gorion wanted to just say something briefly about the Safe Streets and Roads for All. I had mentioned in the draft work plan that that has officially the grant that we received wrapped up and been finished, but I know there are ongoing conversations.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So, as most of you know, we have reached out to each of the jurisdictions to see the interest in applying for SS4A for the projects that are outlined in the plan itself. We have received some positive feedbacks from everybody. However, there are some conversations that need to be held between the PDC, VDOT, and the counties. But overall, we're looking to submit a regional application for as many jurisdictions as are interested for those projects. So it's going to be a one bundled application.
And just a reminder on the timeline for that one. So we anticipate if they follow the same schedule as last year, that notice of funding opportunity would drop at the end of March. And then applications would be due around June timeframe, end of June. And so that's kind of the timeline that we're working on in the background to make sure, we can gauge interest in that time and really have enough time to participate with you all to be able to take information to your boards, should you want to apply for any of this funding.
And if there's no more specific questions about that, I can move to our last bullet point, which is the rural transportation planning needs assessment update. I know you guys have been hearing us talk about this for quite some time, and we are still moving through the process. We sent out a survey in November to gauge some general planning needs and to have a better understanding of planning for rural transportation in our localities. And then we have had the opportunity to sit down with a couple of you to do one-on-one discussions. We are continuing to schedule those discussions to complete that process. So we will have, more to come on that at your next meeting, but be looking forward of hearing from us and possibly getting something on the calendar just to get some feedback. The ones that we've had so far have been incredibly valuable. It's really wonderful to hear the perspective from you guys in particular. We can guess and make assumptions, but it's always much better to be able to sit down and really understand everything that you are experiencing and going through, and the ways that the PDC can work more effectively and efficiently with you. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, and we will continue reporting out on that while that process finishes during this fiscal year.
Thank you very much. We're flying through. Does the group have any topics that they would like to identify or discussion for the next quarterly meeting? Is there anything vexing or any issues that we're having that are not smart scale or safe street related?
Yeah, we always want to keep the dialogue open for ideas to make these meetings worth everyone's time. We want to make sure that we're looking at topics of concern, and that we, have plenty of time once those are identified if we need to find guest speakers for those. I know we had a fantastic guest speaker at our November meeting. So always more to come, and always open to any suggestions there.
An idea I have is we recently got a list from Bill Fritz here. He's the one that does a lot of the stuff with the General Assembly. He gave us like a list of bills that would be interesting for us to kind of monitor. So I don't know if that would be appropriate to do once the session's over or in the middle of it, but just kind of, I don't know who or how it'd be done, but like a quick, just kind of like a presentation of like high level, here's some highlights for bills in the GA or the state Senate that may affect planning for rural jurisdictions in terms of, I've seen stuff about parking minimums and solar things and stuff like that. So that could be kind of interesting.
Okay, I think David Blunt, our legislative
Yes, that's what I
liaison,
was
has
thinking.
possibly done an update like that for this group, so I can definitely keep him on tap for that.
Yeah, that's
That's
what I was thinking. I forgot his name. Yeah,
idea.
David Blunt. That's perfect.
Wonderful.
I
Thank you,
think it's been a
Albert.
few years. That's a good idea. It's been a few years, and I think it's going to be a busy year. So that's a great one.
I can definitely tell you it's not the only request he's getting by topic area.
I believe it. It's probably very popular.
Tom, I had a general question. It may not even rise to interest level from all the other communities, but in Greene, we don't have many unpaved roads left that qualify for the rural rustic program. So we have money that's programmed towards that each year, and we're running out of opportunities to use it efficiently. And the roads that we do have that are gravel, the state opened up the opportunity to use those funds on making improvements to gravel roads. However, there's very little that we're finding that can be done that prevents the maintenance issues, the washouts, all those things. So I wasn't sure if anybody else was having any similar issues and or had any ideas, unique ideas or thoughts on how to utilize those funds when you get to a point where you don't have any roads that you can pave any longer
Jim,
or want to pave.
we're at the same spot as well for Albemarle. I do the rural rustic stuff. I need to work on this, but we're gonna start just brainstorming internally for Albemarle, or calling like the unpaved road improvement program, because kind of what Carrie Shepard, who's the resident here, engineer, told us that it can't be used for maintenance, stuff like that, but the funds could be used for its construction dollars. So if it's like redoing a whole culvert or a turn of a road, things like that. So I think what we're gonna try to do is figure out how to prioritize what roads get what. We have a bunch of we have a bunch of gravel roads that don't even qualify for rural rustics. They don't even be paved into that, but they still have problems with them. So we're gonna try to figure out how to start that. But yeah, you're not alone in the PDC. We're having the same problem of a bunch of roads where our list is getting really, really small of qualified roads for rural rustic, and we have like almost 6 million sitting in our bucket.
I, I think we'd be interested to hear what you come up with after you talk internally, and then internal discussion becomes public if and when it becomes public.
Yeah, I can't promise any dates for when it will go through. I think we might go to the board in April for a secondary 6-year plan update. So I will hopefully have at least a draft idea of what we're planning by then, and we can get some board feedback, but there won't be anything that's like adopted or that is county policy, I'm guessing, easily until the summer. And then we can start doing that. But that's something that we're going to start working on here, because yeah, they keep reminding us, Greg Banks is like, you have $6 million just sitting there that you can't use in anything except for the unpaved roads. So yeah.
Okay, noted. That definitely sounds like good information and something that this group was interested in exploring. So I will look at some opportunities, and Albert, keep in touch with you about this.
Sarah, I've an idea, and I'd probably rely on a lot more people in this group because we did this with the MPO, but we had Stacy Laundrie come give a presentation on transportation funding from the state perspective, like really comprehensive in all of the different revenue sources, where they're all committed, how they're all determined, whether it's in code or formula. And I think it was really important for the policy board in the MPO area to really understand what some of the constraints are and how a lot of the decisions are made. I'd be curious if this group is interested in that level of information as well. And if that's something that we can put on for a future, it doesn't have to be April, but a future meeting, just to kind of like zoom out a little bit into, transportation funding at the state level.
I think it would be interesting, Christine. I think it would be useful to wait till after this budget because I know they're planning on making some significant changes to the way things are funded, and that might be a positive benefit for all of us.
I don't know if others are interested, but I was thinking maybe, I don't know who, but access management or combined access strategies in rural areas. Um, for one idea, like we deal with that on 151, we're doing an overlay district, and that's one of, we're trying to get development on 29 and manage it better on Route 151. So, access management along 29 corridor, higher performance standards than, what VDOT requires. Obviously in cities you have that, but I'd be curious more about rural areas. And then another one might be good. I'm interested in how VDOT and other localities prepare and respond in extreme weather events. I think it might be good for us to understand what's done before and during and after, and that might help us better understand and communicate with the public. We're all on Nextdoor and these Facebook pages and people complaining and trashing VDOT and the counties and how we can maybe help with that better.
Dylan, I know I'd be very interested in learning from your challenges on access management. As a rural community, it's a topic that comes up. It also ties into land use because it could impact through cost the subdivisions of different parcels. I'm sure Tom runs into the same issues in Louisa. So be definitely very interested in learning your success and failures in trying to come up with better ways to do access management in rural community.
Yeah, and I'm hoping by May we'll at least have started our public hearings for our zoning and subdivision ordinance updates. So knock on wood, hopefully by May we'll have a draft in front of the public and some hearings down. So we'll see.
Yeah, Jim, I think a big issue is what do you require for your rezoning for a large project, right? And do you require things to be reviewed by VDOT preliminarily or full-blown review before an application is found to be complete? Do you not require it at all, but do you offer uh, to meet with VDOT to discuss it? And so, sometimes these access issues don't come up until 6 months later in a public hearing and you're now in site plan review. And sometimes they do come up very early on and you're able to tackle that during a rezoning. So um, I think all of us together having that as a discussion, we talk about what is each code, what does all of our codes require? What do we do with VDOT if we get a large project? What if it's a small project? Where are the I guess the touch points where we're having issues? I just tell you that we're in the process of our comprehensive plan, and I think one of the questions we have in our survey is what should we be requiring for applications? So that's kind of why I'm just bringing that up.
Well, so drop in that if you want an example of another locality that has more restrictive access management requirements, Campbell County in the Lynchburg district has an overlay district on US 29 that has basically they have additional requirements if you're developing on frontage, driveway spacing, when they require you to basically have an easement for access if your road frontage is if you want to subdivide a parcel with less than the minimum road frontage in the overlay district. That one has been there for a long time. So if you want like a case study, that's one I know off the top of my head. There might be other ones.
Thank you.
Okay, definitely
Oh.
seems a lot of traction around that one. So we'll see what we can possibly put together and look at either the May meeting or the one following that. So I may be in touch with a few of you to to talk about that.
All good ideas. So I guess I'll go ahead and start roundtable. As I just mentioned, we are the TJPDC is assisting at our comprehensive plan meetings that we're having throughout the county. We've had to cancel a few due to the storm, so we'll look into whether or not we're going to reschedule those or not. And we've had the survey going online. So more information I will probably have in the next meeting on where we are with our comprehensive plan, where we're going, and what it could or could not impact when it comes down to transportation topics. So, more to come. And at that, I leave it to somebody else.
Yeah, Nelson, like I said, we're just buried with ordinance updates getting towards the end of that, and we've got a new board member going into budget season like all of us are. Our new social services building is going up. Um, that's pretty much what we're dealing with right now is ordinance stuff. So I'll be glad when it's over, but then we get into the mapping, which will be, I think, the biggest bear of all three phases. So pray for me.
Albemarle, also new board members. We have Rural Rustic coming up, and we're trying a new way of doing it, where we put the signature stuff. We have a weird way of doing it here, so we're trying something else that's less staff time and less stressful, and seems to be working so far. Knock on wood. So that's the big thing we're working on there, and then yeah, we're gonna have some updates and some idea of kind of how we plan to do the unpaved road improvement program, name pending still. So once I have a better idea, yeah, I'm happy to share with the group kind of what our strategy moving forward is, and honestly workshop it with you to see what could be better.
I can share with Greene. Yeah, we talked about it already. We are looking at different unique ways to use the rural rustic funds. Same thing that Almar is looking at, which is road improvements, drainage ditches, culverts, box culverts, things that might make small improvements or safety improvements. We're redoing our comprehensive plan, and in that, we're going to look at access management standards, where they are an additional restriction or improvement over what the VDOT base standards are, because Tom mentioned VDOT. They look at the locations, but they're limited unless there's a county ordinance that allows them to go a little further for access management. So those are the main things that we have going on. We're just beginning our comprehensive plan process, so it'll be probably a 2-year process to update it. We're looking at everything from transportation to land use to reviewing how the subdivision works, the subdivision ordinance works with the goals in the comprehensive plan. And along with that, we have our regular projects, a lot of home building going on. And we also have a local administered transportation project, because with our massive staff here in Greene County, we thought we would just add some more projects to see if we could just have a fuller day and a richer life.
That was my question, Jim. I was going to ask if you have a consultant you're working with on that or if you're staff.
No, we do. We and actually, because of our size, it was a requirement in the request to administer. We had to hire a consultant with VDOT and smart scale experience, and there's no way we'd be able to even come close to functioning if we didn't. In our scenario, it gives us more control over the timing and the type of treatments or turn options, innovative intersections that we wouldn't get if VDOT was doing it directly. And honestly, in this particular scenario, it's been a challenging project from way back. And if we hadn't taken it under local administration, it probably would have disappeared and died. So, so it's unique. It's not something that I would recommend every day unless you're have a larger staff with a full transportation department. But if you need it to be a particular way, if you need to control it from a timing standpoint, or if the scenarios require local administration just to make it continue to happen and it's important, then it's worth the time and effort. But you definitely need a partner. We're using Kimley Horn after that we selected off a cooperative contract on the state.
I guess I'll go next. So on the subject of comprehensive plans, we're working on ours right now. It has taken a little bit longer than we had hoped, but I'm hopeful that by April we'll start presenting draft sections to our planning commission for review, with the hope of having a comp plan update completed by December. As far as transportation related stuff, some of you may be aware that Tenaska has submitted an SUP application, special use permit for a power production plant. Along those lines, we have retained a firm to conduct a traffic study focusing on 7 intersections in the county. Probably the one of most concern as far as Tenaska's proposal is Thomas Jefferson Parkway, Route 53 at Ruritan Lake Road, 619. So anyway, this information's on our website if anyone wants to take a look at it, but it's basically recommendations for improvements. One of the things they're looking at here is a roundabout, also looking at possibly a signalized intersection. Other stuff going on, we are looking at a change to our subdivision ordinance to deal with how private roads are addressed in our in the lots. Right now, if we have a private road subdivision, all the lots have to be served by that private road, even if they're fronted by a state road. That causes a problem because you have some lots on the state road that they could be divided, otherwise be divided into 2-acre lots, but with the private road restrictions, they have to be at least 10 acres. So we're looking at some changes to our subdivision ordinance to address that. And Gorion, I owe you an answer on Safe Streets for All. I haven't forgotten you, but I will get back to you on that.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
I don't believe TJPDC has any further updates than what we've already shared.
I guess I can go for Jaunt. Couple little things. One is we are fully staffed up in our chief of operations, a new chief of operations, and a senior director of operations with lots of transit experience, which is great because the next couple of years we're going to be going through pretty drastic, radical, good changes in terms of updating our scheduling and dispatch software to bring us into the current decade. We're starting a mobility on demand, that's software as a service. Others people know that as microtransit or microcat, that kind of thing. Basically, it's the ability for people to book rides, up to 30 minutes in advance. So we're starting a pilot of that in Greene County and in paratransit in the Charlottesville, city of Charlottesville, ADA zone. That's underway right now. We're hoping to have those services up. I know Mike, our CEO, has been, I think, meeting Jim with county administrator about that and about how to roll that out, because part of that is people are now going to have an app that they can book rides with. So it's a whole new world, right? We have also applied for a demo grant with DRPT. So for fiscal year 27, that would expand midday service between Fluvanna and Louisa and urbanized Charlottesville, Albemarle. What that means is those services that go in between the counties to Charlottesville run 2 days or 3 days a week, depending on the county. And what would happen is people would come in the morning at like 8, and the first bus out is at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And if they got done with their appointment, they're sitting around. And so That was a big complaint we heard, anecdotally through surveys and through talking with people. So this midday expansion is adding there and back midday around noon, and then pushing the afternoon one out to 4. So there's just more expanded services. This is in line with what our rural transportation needs assessment study said. There's demand for more services, and so we're trying to do that. The second demo grant, Jim, is for a connect route, commuter fixed route to Greene County. It would go all the way to Stannersville, Ruckersville, and then come in to hit employment centers in Albemarle and Charlottesville. And both those demo grants require local matches, and so Mike again is talking with his board this month and next to see if there's a way to strategize around that. So, yeah, we'll see if we get it, and we'll see if people agree to local match.
But wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to share with the group? Oh, I forgot. I hired 2 planners. So they'll be starting in February and March. So I'm getting some help, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Forgot to add that on. You would think that would be the first thing I'd say. All right. Well, I don't think anybody from the public has joined. Does the TJPDC have anything else they'd like to add before we all sign off and leave 36 minutes early?
Wow. Yeah, we flew through things today. That was good. Just 2 quick things. If you do have any feedback on the draft work program, if you could get those to me in the next 2 weeks, you can email, call, whatever's easiest. And an important distinction, our next meeting on May 5th will be back to in person because we can't have virtual meetings back to back. So we will be back to seeing everyone in May, which feels like a long time, but we'll blink and it'll be time.
Thank you.
I'll give some non-transportation, non-planning updates for the PDC if anybody's interested. We put our FY26 amended budget. Our budget process is 3 steps. We do ours well in advance of a fiscal year to set the per capita rates and the local contributions. We then get it approved in the May prior to the fiscal year, and then we come back in the spring with an amended budget. So we'll be going before the commission in February with our amended 26 budget for adoption in March, and then we put our draft FY27 budget in front of them in April for adoption in May. So it's a 4-month process. And then just an update on our building renovations. The contractors have been there and are busy replacing floors and paint. And I think, as I said earlier before everybody was on, when you start taking, walls down, you start finding things you didn't expect. So some additional scope of work is included. Some asbestos abatement is included. It looks like pushing our timeline out just a little bit, but hopefully we'll be returning back in person in early March. Date yet to be determined. But that will require us to do a lot of scrambling to make sure we find meeting spaces for any boards that are meeting monthly that met virtually in February will have to come back in person. So may need to be reaching out to find space for that to happen. So just administrative updates.
Thank you. Looking forward to trying out the new space in the meeting in May.
Next meeting needs to include a tour of the new amenities.
We are happy.
Sure, that can be arranged.
Tours and show you guys our, bathrooms without missing cabinets and our kitchens, missing appliances, and there are some lovely 70s features that we will be saying goodbye to.
I'm still waiting for Dylan to give us the 151 tour.
You booked a van.
Well, I want to thank everybody for taking your time out of your day, especially with everything going on in the snow. These meetings are great, and I think some good topics came up. Look forward to seeing everybody in May. And does anybody have anything else for the group before we sign off?
I move we adjourn.
I second the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Aye and bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.